Welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program where we talk about the reality of the Catholic Church around the world. Today we will talk about Uganda, an African country located in the heart of the continent. With a 42% Catholic population, the Church in Uganda presents a vibrant reality and a very promising future. Nevertheless, it faces also important social and political challenges. Today, it is my privilege to welcome to our program Father John Bosco Adia. Father, welcome to our show.
It's a pleasure.
Father, what would be the reality of the Catholic Church nowadays in Uganda?
The church in Uganda as of today, I think is vibrant. It is vibrant and it is doing a lot. The faith is growing. And this you could see especially during the Martyrs' Day celebration on the 3rd of June. This year we had a very big number of pilgrims, especially all over the country, which signifies the numbers which have been increasing. Like in my diocese alone, we have within the recent 1 or 2 years wedded more than 3,000 couples. So a reality that shows that the church is growing, because we believe the church is mainly rooted in the family. And so this, of course, recently there is, and as of now, there is the move to tell the world that actually the traditional marriage, the bisexual marriage, that is marriage between a man and a woman is actually not
heterosexual marriage.
Yes, it's not bisexual. Thank you for the correction.
Heterosexual.
And heterosexual is not actually the right way. The world is moving towards a different direction of same-sex marriage and so on. And this already is negating the Christian principle doctrine that marriage is supposed to be between a man and a woman. But already if in a diocese, a small diocese like Nebb, we can be able to have within a period of 1 year more than 3,000 couples is a sign that the church is growing and the church has influence in the life of the people in Uganda.
Father, now you are involved in the formation of the new generation of priests for Uganda. Tell us a little bit about the abundance or the lack of vocations in the country.
The country in general, I will say, we still have vocations. I will not say it is in abundance, because we still have more need for priests. The vocation, the number of priests, I will say, has never matched the need. But given the number of people who are willing to join the seminary and those who are there in the seminary, I will say the vocation is there. And though we will not reject if the number will even double what is in the seminary. But what I see is that the vocation is there. And for instance, we have 4 major seminaries, national ones, 2 for philosophy, and then 2 for theology. But this we are seminaries that we are formally constructed to accommodate a number between 100, maybe up to 150. But you will realize that this time, these seminaries have to be, they had to be expanded in order to accommodate numbers more than 100, even sometimes up to 200, which is a sign that the vocation is growing, and there are still young men who are being inspired to become priests. And these national seminaries are mainly for the dioceses. They train diocesan priests, which other people prefer calling secular priests. But secular, in which case, means
they
those
are not
priests,
religious.
yeah, they are not religious. And these are still the diocesan priests, but there are also others who are in missionary congregations that are Ugandan. But then I will say that despite this vocation being there, when you break them down to the dioceses, some dioceses have more vocations than others. I will cite examples of Kampala Archdiocese, maybe Fort Portal, Mbarara Archdiocese, and Arua Diocese. This may be Tororo. These are dioceses that have more vocations than others. Unlike other dioceses like Kotido, like Moroto, like even my own diocese, Nebb, which do not have more vocations. So when you take Uganda collectively, you will see that the vocation is abundant. But when you break the different vocations to the different dioceses, you see that some dioceses are really in dire need. Even for me in my diocese, if there are priests willing outside there, I will tell the bishop we have some people here as a pastoral coordinator, and then we will welcome them.
At the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned families, the importance of the family life, and to be really domestic church, as the Pope has mentioned. What is the situation of the family in Uganda?
I will say in Uganda, the families are still strong. The families have influence, and the families are still really the domestic church, where we live the faith, where there is the true witness per se. And that's why we have small Christian communities. These small Christian communities are an aggregate of families, between 10 to 15 families that come together. For instance, if I take this place here, we will say this place here, if it is the church, we will divide it into the small regions, and then these small regions will form, if I will say this is a chapel, an outstation in a certain parish. So we will divide the parishes into small units. So the idea is that my family knows exactly what is happening in your family can know exactly what is happening in my family, and so that when you have a problem, my family comes in to help, and then when I have a problem, your family comes in to help.
A real sense of community.
Yeah, community. So that is where you see the impact of the family, and you will realize that much of our support towards the church really is coming from the family, because like in my diocese, if we are to realize some contribution towards the certain particular project in the church, like maybe we have seminarians that we have to support in major seminaries, we ask each chapel perhaps to pay 5,000 shillings, or each community to pay 5,000 shillings per month. So this will be broken down into small Christian communities, and in the small Christian communities, the community leaders in turn go to the families to get this. And so you'll realize that the basic principles of Christianity, like even making the sign of the cross, like prayer over meals and so on, these are the things which are learned in the family. And so you will find that from most of the Christian families, when a child comes out from this family to another a community outside the family, you see that you can judge how powerful this family is. I mean, in relation to how deep-rooted it is in its faith. You can judge in the child, because most it is in the family that prayers are learned. So that when they go for other catechism, already judging from where they are coming from, the catechist knows where to place them. So that is how you can assess the impact of the families, and you realize that most families are strong. And even still, to a greater extent, families have a say in decision making in relation to their children, where they want their children to go, whether it has to become a priest, whether it has to go to what kind of school and what kind of marriage. Somehow, still, the families have. Though with the modern mass media, the family has been infiltrated, and there are constant attacks on the family by way of promoting other forms of marriage that could otherwise even undermine the influence of the family. For instance, this bisexual marriage, that me and you get married and therefore we adopt a child. So in this case, there will be...
You mean with persons of the same sex?
Yeah, persons of the same sex. For instance, if it is decreed that the two of us, you a man, I'm a man, we get married to each other, and then that is called marriage. And so from there, we form a family. So now we adopt a child. You find in this case, this kind of marriages are trying to undermine, though we have not witnessed cases in Uganda, but already, because we are not outside this world, the influence is hitting strong, of course, on families in the country.
How interesting that Africa is also facing this kind of challenges, that usually we think that that's something happening in Europe, in Northern America, but it's something that Africa is also facing.
I will say Africa is facing, because we are part of the entire world. Though the reality of its practical happening are not so rampant, but there are very isolated cases already in Africa. For me, I will personally not be afraid to say that there are some bigger powers that want to already impose this on Africans, even by way of wanting to put conditions with regard to their aid, that if you don't allow this, we are not going to do for you this. So those kind of conditions.
So international aid is conditioned to the acceptance of this agenda.
Partly that, because they want to tie this kind of thing, which is non-African, to the African countries. That's why even in these African countries, you will already, Uganda inclusive, they are gays, and they are already, like recently in Uganda, there was the marriage bill, which was controversial, and because also the church, I will say, strongly spoke against that, the bill has been dismissed from the parliament. Otherwise, there was that bill which was to even appreciate cohabitation as a form of marriage, so that if we are living as if we have an intention to get married, we can be allowed to stay like that as if we are married, which in the end will undermine family, because now there will be a situation where when we want to divorce, we come together, we agree, and we divorce. So this one will undermine the permanency of marriage, which in the end also will establish a permanent family. So those are some of the challenges which we are already facing through mass media and through other big organizations who sometimes try to come to our African countries pretending to be NGOs. I'm sorry to say that if they are true, they will sort themselves out, and then time will tell anyway. But there are those who pretend and they come as NGOs, but while on their on their back. They are carrying luggages of other ideologies which are non-African. So they are already infiltrating, and many of them use money power because they find that they can give money. So many people eventually join them, and then they instill those ideologies in them. But unfortunately, of course, money has a limited source. Time will come when it will get finished, and then you realize that this actually does not form part of you, and eventually some of the people come back.
I'm going to jump to another topic, but somehow is related to what you're talking about, Father, and it's the role of the Church in the health campaigns against HIV virus and AIDS. It has been very relevant in the international scenario. The success that Uganda has had with the campaigns emphasizing marital fidelity, abstinence, and without focusing, for instance, in the use of condoms and other means. In this regard, what is the role of these international organizations putting pressure for these policies to change?
We, the Church in Uganda, advocate for abstinence and marital fidelity as an absolute means of reducing the rate of HIV prevalence, and that we still stick to it. And we have, the Church has got hospitals, it has got health centers that are run by the Church and monitored closely by the Church. And in these health centers, we also carry HIV tests, and we also carry programs that educate young people about the reality of HIV/AIDS. And we really see that the use of abstinence and marital fidelity is the way we have to go, because of late there are those organizations that are coming to push in for the use of condoms and circumcision. The Church in Uganda has never allowed any of those two. The reason being that use of condoms will give the people false confidence, because it is in terms of percentages. So that means when at a certain percentage you are safe, another percentage you are not safe. That means you are living on a knife edge. In other words, you can fall this side or this side. So we are saying, why do you put yourself on a knife edge when you have a safer side, which is abstinence? In which case you abstain. When you want to get married, we go for tests, we are sure of ourselves, and we get married. And when the other is sick, we don't deny him. It is a reality that he or she is sick. Then we help this person to accept this reality and to live positively so that they can live a better life. But then this person lives charitably. Charitably in the sense that now that I am sick, I should not let my brother to fall sick, because it is better to have a brother who is strong because he will become my strength. So that now, if we are living with you in the same family, we are father and we are people, we are married people. But by providence, maybe you are sick, I am not sick, or I am sick, you are not sick. So we ask that we live charitably. You be charitable to me by not letting me go away because I am sick now here in the same family. And because we are sick, you are sick in the same family, you help me to live better, and I help you to live better without me infecting you, but let us help each other. So we say no to condoms, because it is putting these people at a risk. You cannot let your child live by probability. That is not, it is an unexamined life.
Youth around the globe are always hungry for knowledge. In Africa, outsmarting ignorance brings emancipation from poverty and the deadly clutches of HIV/AIDS. To stop the escalating epidemic, Sister Miriam Duggan, an Irish missionary, developed the Education for Life behaviour change programme. In 1994, Sister Duggan, along with a group of enthusiastic behaviour change programme participants, ventured into the slums surrounding Uganda's capital, Kampala, to offer the new generation a means out, thus creating Youth Alive.
We started by visiting the sick, taking care of them. They formed groups of young people, young men and women who helped the sick, washing their clothes, comforting them, speaking to them. As a pastor at that time, I also went to visit them together with Miriam Duggan, but that was not enough. So after some time, Sister Miriam Duggan thought of founding a youth group because she had collected with her a lot of young men and women. And so they formed the Youth Alive Club.
The Youth Alive really came out of a demand from the young people who had gone through the program and yet found that maybe they had made a commitment to delay having sex or not to get into drugs, but they found that the peer pressure was very strong and they came back and saying, we need more. It was to have ongoing formation of young people. The aim as well was to turn the negative peer pressure into positive peer pressure, that the young people themselves could be agents of change.
In the early years of the HIV epidemic, condoms were considered the levee that would stop the flood. Abstinence and infidelity were at best seen as weakness.
At that time, there was a lot of propagation of condoms. They said condoms, they said everything can help. Anything we handle our hands on. Let us try to use this, let us try to use that. We discouraged the condoms. We insisted on giving seminars, going to schools. During the holidays, we invited the students. They came to our parish hall and we taught them how to keep themselves alive.
Sister Miriam Duggan wanted to address the core and root causes of HIV/AIDS in order to help young people prevent themselves from HIV/AIDS. Was it just simply the sex, or was it because of poverty? Was it because young people lacked life skills, like young girls, to say no to favors from big men? So she wanted to address it from that point of view.
I want to be a doctor, but a part-time counselor, that I can also help other young people by advising them about things in life.
In the several interactions I've had with Youth Alive, the most amazing thing is the testimonies of the young people. A young boy from Zambia who stood up and said, Madam Minister, for us, the young people, after the interactions with Youth Alive, we are going to be the generation which will be free of corruption. And I was like, what do you mean? He said the honesty, the values that Youth Alive has instilled in us are going to make us grow up in a generation which is going to be upright, and we are going to be corruption free. I was amazed and thrilled and inspired.
The debate on whether abstinence and fidelity are effective may continue in the media and in policy rooms around the world. Thanks to the ongoing support of Catholic organisations, in Uganda and across Africa, the winner of the debate is Youth Alive. Following its success in Uganda, the movement also operates in Kenya and the Sudan.
We're running out of time, but I don't want to finish the program without asking you about the role of the Church attending to the needs of refugees, because that's a very important challenge for the whole country, but particularly what is the role of the Church in this regard?
Yeah, actually, the question of refugees in Uganda is a reality. We have faced refugees coming from Somalia, from Sudan, Southern Sudan, from Congo. The church actually is a home for refugees. We have seen churches housing refugees on church land and then preaching the gospel to them, giving them hope that really it is not their making that they are like this, but perhaps times will change and when things will be better. But not only that, also sometimes supporting them materially, but also sometimes going into negotiations with even the people who caused this condition of the condition of being refugees. Like we have
being to the root of the problem.
Yes, we have Archbishop Odama of Gulu Archdiocese. He is one of those who was even physically involved in physical talks with the LRA. The head of the LRA, Joseph Kony, going to the bush. That means he was not doing that as a person alone, but also he was doing it as a church, as part of the contribution of the church. So the church really does not only stop at giving, because now, otherwise, as St. James says, faith without action will not have any meaning. It will not be enough for them to come and say, have hope, things, but it goes to the roots. So that is how we have been, the church in Uganda has been trying to address the question of refugees, housing them, giving them hope, and then even going to the root of the problem and trying to see whether negotiations can come and these people can be resettled in their countries.
Father, it's really inspiring to hear this reality of such a vibrant church right in the heart of Africa. Thank you very much for sharing this time with us.
You're welcome.
Father.
Thank you very much too.
And thank you to you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us in our program Where God Weeps. If you want to learn more about the situation of the church in Uganda and other parts of the world, please consider the information posted at the end of this program. Thank you and God bless.